Nobody expected Wendy Williams to return to the spotlight and immediately set social media on fire. But that's exactly what happened. The moment Wendy started talking about E.J. Johnson, the internet stopped scrolling. At first, it seemed like a harmless fashion critique. Wendy looked at E.J.'s red carpet appearance and pointed out what many viewers completely missed. According to her, the oversized luxury bag he carried belonged at a daytime event, not an evening red carpet. It sounded like classic Wendy Williams commentary. Sharp, funny, and a little brutal. People laughed. Then they started paying attention, because beneath the fashion criticism was something much bigger. Wendy wasn't just talking about a handbag. She was questioning an entire public image. And once that door opened, the internet rushed in. Almost overnight, old interviews, controversial statements, and viral clips began resurfacing. Viewers started revisiting years of E.J. Johnson's public appearances, looking for clues about why his latest comments had triggered such a strong reaction. What they found sparked an entirely different conversation. For years, E.J. Johnson has built a brand around standing out. As the son of basketball legend Magic Johnson, he entered the public eye with advantages most people could only dream about. Fame, wealth, connections, luxury, and access to some of the most exclusive circles in entertainment. But E.J. didn't simply want to be known as Magic Johnson's son. He wanted his own identity, his own spotlight, his own audience. And to his credit, he succeeded. Through bold fashion choices, reality television appearances, and a larger-than-life personality, E.J. carved out a unique place in celebrity culture. While many celebrity children struggle to escape their parents' shadows, E.J. embraced attention and transformed himself into a headline-generating personality. But over time, some critics began asking a different question. Was the attention coming from authenticity or controversy? That question became much harder to ignore after a recent podcast appearance that sent social media into overdrive. What began as a casual conversation quickly became one of the most debated celebrity interviews online. During the discussion, E.J. revealed that he no longer wanted certain labels associated with him. He explained that he preferred different pronouns and discussed how he viewed himself in ways that left both hosts and viewers struggling to understand exactly what he meant. Within hours, clips from the interview were everywhere. Twitter exploded. TikTok creators rushed to react. YouTube commentators started posting breakdowns. And suddenly, everyone seemed to have an opinion. The confusion wasn't necessarily because people disagreed. Many simply couldn't figure out what E.J. was trying to communicate. Some viewers initially believed he was announcing a major life change. Others assumed he was redefining his identity entirely. Then E.J. clarified that he was not transitioning. That clarification created even more questions. If he wasn't transitioning, why did he want certain labels removed? If he wasn't identifying with existing categories, how exactly did he want people to understand him? Instead of ending the discussion, the explanation made the conversation even more complicated. And then came the comments that truly ignited the internet. When the discussion shifted toward dating and attraction, E.J. openly explained that he wasn't interested in dating gay men. The statement immediately caught people's attention. Not because dating preferences are unusual, but because of how he explained them. E.J. repeatedly described being attracted to highly masculine men and suggested that many of the men who showed interest in him identified as straight. That single topic launched thousands of debates online. Some viewers argued that sexuality and attraction are more complex than labels. Others questioned whether the descriptions E.J. was using actually made sense. Reaction videos began appearing everywhere. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, and once again the conversation grew larger than the interview itself. But things escalated even further when E.J. began comparing himself to women in social settings. At one point, he confidently suggested that he often attracted more attention than other women in the room. That comment changed everything. Suddenly, the debate wasn't just about identity, it became about competition. Critics accused E.J. of putting women down in order to elevate himself. Others argued that he was simply expressing confidence. Supporters claimed people were deliberately misinterpreting his words. Opponents argued the comments revealed a deeper pattern, and for the first time, people from completely different communities found themselves criticizing the same interview for entirely different reasons. The backlash intensified because many viewers felt there was a contradiction at the center of EJ's message. On one hand, he insisted he didn't care what anyone thought. On the other hand, much of the conversation seemed focused on appearance, attention, attractiveness, and public perception. To critics, those two ideas didn't seem compatible. If public approval didn't matter, why spend so much time discussing who was getting attention? Why compare yourself to other people? Why keep returning to questions of attractiveness and desirability? Those questions became impossible to ignore. And then an old story involving EJ's sister resurfaced. What happened next added an entirely new layer to the controversy. According to EJ, while vacationing in the south of France, he met a man named Anthony. The two reportedly connected and began spending time together. Everything appeared to be moving in a positive direction. Until Anthony started talking to EJ's sister. According to the story, Anthony eventually shifted his attention away from EJ and toward her. For many viewers, this moment became one of the most revealing parts of the entire discussion. Not because of the rejection itself, but because of EJ's reaction. He openly admitted feeling frustrated by the situation, and critics immediately connected the story to the larger themes already dominating the conversation. They argued that it exposed an underlying need for validation. Supporters disagreed. They saw someone being honest about jealousy, disappointment, and human emotions. But regardless of where people stood, the story gave the internet yet another reason to keep talking. And that's when Wendy Williams entered the picture. Her comments may have started with a handbag, but by then, the discussion had become something much bigger. Because the real debate was never about fashion. It was never about pronouns, and it wasn't even about dating. The real question was much deeper. What happens when a public figure builds an identity around standing out? How far can someone push self-expression before people begin seeing it as performance? And where exactly is the line between confidence and validation? That's the question keeping this story alive. For some people, EJ Johnson represents freedom. For others, he represents contradiction. For some, he's a symbol of authenticity. For others, he's a symbol of celebrity culture's endless pursuit of attention. And perhaps that's why this debate refuses to disappear. Because the argument isn't really about EJ Johnson anymore. It's about something much bigger. It's about how people see themselves, how they want others to see them, and whether those two things are ever truly the same.